Well, I thought today was going to be a nice, relaxing day, and it's, what is it, almost 8 o'clock. I got my coffee, came out to check out the beautiful day. Just as I was taking a sip, I looked across the way over at Dustin's boat, and I seen the Seahawk upside down, and I was shocked, utterly shocked. There's no reason that it should be upside down. We seen it yesterday, seen it all weekend, no problem. Everything looked great. Now there it is, upside down. So I haven't told Dustin. He's on his way back from Jacksonville. He's gonna be driving all day, so I figure there's no point in him knowing about this because he can't do anything right now. And that's gonna be a shitty drive for 8 hours thinking about this. So I called Danny, another friend of ours. He also checked on it too, and he said everything looked good when he checked on it. But we gotta get this thing flipped up, right side up. And damn, we just went through this a year and a half ago. We just did this. The thing sank, but we had to redo all the parts in the engine, the electrical components, because once they get the salt water in them, they're shot. And that was like $2,000 to replace all that stuff, and a lot of time. So this is bad. This is a bad day already. I haven't even finished my coffee yet. I didn't even start it. So this time around, though, we're going to actually film this proper. The irony of this situation is that just last night, I was watching the video of us flipping this thing right side up a year and a half ago. And I remember thinking, I wish we would have got better footage, because that was cool. In hindsight, it was cool. And now it seems the universe gives us another opportunity, I guess. So we're going to film it proper this time. Well, I'm trying to think about how this is going to work. Now that I'm starting to get some coffee in me, starting to think clear. The initial shock of the situation has more or less subsided. The problem that we have now is when this happened, let's see, when was this? It would have been March of 2018, so it was last year. When this happened last year, I had 4 big square floats. Well, they weren't really floats. They're industrial, like shampoo shipping containers. I'm sure you've seen the bins before. They're plastic with a metal cage around the outside. And they were actually what I was going to use to build the tiki house the first time. And then I changed my mind because they're not foam filled, and if they get one tiny little hole in it, the whole thing will go down. So anyway, I had them on the dock with no real purpose. But they make great floats because you can fill them up with water, completely submerge them, tie them onto whatever it is you're trying to lift, and fill them with air, and then comes right up. So when this happened last year, we seen the boat sinking and called over to Dustin. He tried to do something with it. I ended up bringing Andromeda over to him and trying to tie the Seahawk up alongside of mine, and I was going to use the boom to keep the back end up. But when I jumped down in to grab the stern line, it started to roll, and it completely rolled over onto its side. Luckily, I had the one line in my hand, and I jumped up and was able to cleat it real quick. So when it sank, it just went down on its side, right at the water line, and it held there. So one side was totally supported, and we strapped that box on the bottom side and filled it with air, and it flipped itself this direction. Now we don't have any more of those boxes because I lent them out to someone else to try to use to raise a sailboat, and they ended up, whatever happened, they weren't taken care of, they weren't returned to me, and now they're gone. So now we don't have any floats. We could get float bags, but the question is, where is that money going to come from? We're not, like, none of us are really in a financial position right now to be able to afford a situation like this. So what I'm trying to figure out is some sort of alternative to making this happen. God damn it. All right, now we're here. The boat is still pulled up pretty far. It'll drop further back this direction, which is where we need it to be. I think the way I'm going to do this is very similar to the way I did it last time, just without the barrel. Instead, I'm going to use my trusty 5-ton chain hoist. We will get this thing, like I said, positioned further back, and then we need the hull to be against, bottom of the hull of the Seahawk to be against the side of the hull on Andromeda, so the boat will be sideways. So I need to get in there and get a line fastened. I'm actually going to go around the stern cleat there, but I'm also going to wrap the line around the hull in a cradle and use that to start to flip the boat upward, because I'm actually going to pick the back end up, and I don't want to put all that force on that cleat right there because it'll just rip right out of the fiberglass. So once we get it up, and we'll get it up out of the water line a little ways, then on the, let's see, that'll be the port side stern, I could get another cradled line on that with the chain hoist and start to rotate the whole thing up. You always got to keep a stash of line on the boat, a lot of line. Let's see, we got our hose, we're going to need that for when we get the motor up. Got to rinse all that salt water out of it. This will make a good strap for cradling. This is a good long rope. We'll use that for some pulling. This is a shorter general line. Could use for something. Another good line for lashing some stuff if I need to. This is all pretty big line. That's not what I'm looking for. Let's look over here. This box is where I keep my dock lines for Andromeda, and extension cords, and fishing nets, and and anchors that do nothing but get in my way. These bigger lines would do good for holding the weight of the boat. All right, so part of my stress about this is we are pretty close to the channel right here, and when boats get ripping through, they create a lot of wake. So I want to get this in the position that it needs to be while there's no boat traffic. It's a Monday, so we probably won't get a lot of boat traffic, but every little bit sends that wake. The boats are going to be smashing into each other, and I don't want to have to deal with that. So right now I'm getting in the water. I am going to tie the stern line and drag that thing back where it needs to be. And then I'll get in, put the cradle on, lift it up, and get it strapped. And then we'll be on to phase 2. Alright, so now this is becoming a problem. I'm going to try to kick my way to flip this around the other direction, because now we're pointing the wrong direction. It's coming. So I've got the stern tied up. I've got the midship tied up just in case when we start to pull it, the bow dips down. I got it at that point so I can pick it back up if I have to. So, look here. I took a block, a pulley, and I put it down there, ran this line through it so I can get a little bit more advantage on it. I'm gonna swing the boom out over here, and I'm gonna not exactly sure what I'm gonna do from there. All right, so we've got it pretty close to up here. Used another block on the end of the boom here, going down to the winch over there, and just pretty much tightened it up to this point. Stuff is starting to float away here. Let's go get that stuff. All right, so we got the boat up. As you can see, we got the water pump pumping out what's left in the water here. She'll be floating on her own good nature here in just a few minutes. So got to get in there and deal with the electrical system right away. The battery system, since it was submerged, is already looking pretty nasty. You can see the funk on those terminals already. We got to break down all the electrical stuff on the engine. Probably a lot of that stuff on the console is shot now. Those are brand new gauges. They were only in there for probably not even a week. I'm sure they're destroyed now. Same thing with that key unit. That key switch is probably shot. But you know what? It's still a good motor. And even though there's a lot of electrical parts that are going to get lost on this, the motor will run once again. Actually, it'll probably be up and running here in the next few hours. I'm going to take all those components and stick them into a bath of Salt Away, which is a product to get salt water and residue and stuff out of things and off of things. I've never done it before with electrical stuff, so this is a first, but it's worth a shot. Maybe it'll help, maybe it won't, I don't know. Okay, so I got the boat cleaned up, got the pressure washer to it, got the cowling off, cleaned that up, got the last bit of stuff pumping out of it. There's still some water hanging out up in the bow, but I think that's because the passageways in between the bulkheads underneath are kind of small and restricted, so it's going to take a little while for that to work its way back. So now I'm going to get started pulling the engine apart, the parts that have salt water in there, like the cylinders. I got to pull spark plugs out and all that. flush fresh water through there, get some WD-40 in there to pull out any other water. Get the electrical stuff connected as much as possible. And then turn the engine over. Getting a little bit of rain now. Turn the engine over, pump all that stuff through. So, here we go. See that? That just came right off of there. It's completely shot. So, as you can see, that's what I was suspecting. All those electrical connections are basically destroyed. This is the trim and tilt. This is power. That's typically what ends up happening is your power, your positive rather, all those terminals end up getting destroyed when they come in contact with salt water. So we will see, as we'll keep going and see what else is destroyed. This is the computer. This survived the last sinking, so it should survive this too. It's completely sealed. We did replace this wiring harness, which goes all the way through all over everything. But everything else looks pretty good. And this isn't that expensive of a part, honestly. Let's open up this. This is the fuse. We had to replace this last time as well. Gonna have to take that apart to look at it, but I'm guessing that's probably toast also. Alright, so this is very oily. As you can see, the corrosion that's in there. I'm hoping this is focusing. This is all gunky, who knows what's probably a mixture of corrosion and other things. Doubtful I can save this. That's the bad part, because that's part of the wiring harness itself. I may be able to repin it. We'll see. Pull the fuse block apart and see what that looks like. Well, even though it's pretty gross looking, I think with some work this thing could be salvageable. Okay, so I've got my components off that I want to soak in this Saltaway product. I got the starter here, got the trim and tilt solenoid, I'm losing pieces. I've got the 2 parts of the fuse block. Now this product, I've used this a few times. It works pretty good. Good enough that I spent 30 bucks to buy another cord to do this. So you need to mix it. It's got the little mixing window there. Let's see here, it says to soak gear and equipment, mix 4 ounces concentrate per 1 gallon of water in a pail. This is, I believe, a 2-gallon, 2.5 gallons. And let's see, for this to fit in there, yeah, I'm definitely going to use 2 gallons of water. And it said, what, 4 ounces per gallon, so I'm going to do 2 of these in here. One. Cap back on, fill it back up. parts in here. It also comes with this handy hose attachment, which I filled this up, sprayed down the engine and the parts that I can't soak. And it's pretty much empty now, so let's see. Just fill it up and let that sit for a while, and hopefully this will save some of my parts here that'll probably end up otherwise having to repair. Yeah,
at least you'll have a good excuse for all that nasty coughing.
I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah, how's the weather down there? It's fucking blistering.
Yeah, no, it's all right. It's well, I mean, I guess that's relative. You just got done with the cold weather there, right?
Well, it didn't last long. It was just a little cold front, so now we're going back in the 80s.
Yeah, I think it's 85 or I don't know exactly what, but
yeah,
something, I'm sure.
Hot.
You know, relative. But well, I guess I was waiting to tell you this until you got back.
Uh-oh.
But since it's all pretty much under control and you're gonna not be back until late, I'll just tell you now. I got up this morning and I had my coffee and I was doing my normal look around, and fucking Seahawk was upside down behind your boat.
Yeah, right.
I'm not kidding, man.
Bullshit.
No. I don't know what happened. I mean, it was fine. It was fine. No problems. Even Danny was looking at it. Everything was fine.
Ryan, are you kidding me?
No. Nope. But I got it flipped up, right side up. I got all the parts tore down. I got the salt away on it.
Ryan, are you fucking kidding me?
No.
Tell me right now.
I'm not. But like I said, it's all good. I'm getting it taken care of. Like I said, it's right side up now. Everything's good. I got, you know, the wiring harness looks good. Everything looks fine.
What the fuck? You're telling me the boat was upside down? It was on it turtled?
It was completely turtled. Only the bow was sticking up. But again, like I said, it's all good. It's taken care of.
I just put fucking $3,000 in that goddamn fucking boat.
I know, man.
Fuck!
But like I said, you know, as of what I can tell right now, there's nothing amiss. I've got the electrical parts soaking right now in some salt away, and I'm getting ready to rinse them off and put them back on, and I think it'll start back up, man. I really don't see any issues. It was just a big fucking pain in the ass this morning. The shifter's still good too. I knew you'd be worried about that. Everything's good on that.
I can't fucking leave. I can never fucking leave the goddamn boat again. I can't fucking go on a fucking vacation. Ever fucking again. I can't fucking leave.
Well, I don't know, man. I wouldn't say that necessarily, because like I said, it was fine. It was fine when I seen it last night. It was fine. I don't know what happened. I'm getting ready to get in there and check the bilge pumps and see what the deal is there. I haven't even got to that yet. But there was definitely some charge left in the batteries, because I was able to crank the engine over a little bit once I got it right side up. So there should be plenty of power in there to run a bilge pump. Did that thing have a leak in it? Was it taking on water anywhere?
Slowly. I like all boats.
How slowly?
not, you know, I mean, the bilge pump was working fine whenever I left. I tested it.
Well, like I said, there's really not any reason to be upset about it right now. The only thing I can see maybe that might need to be replaced is your starter, because the one stud, the bolt completely dissolved away, or the nut completely dissolved away, and part of the stud is missing. But I might be able to tap that.
Fucking bullshit. I gotta go.
All right, man.
I gotta go.
So, you know, that's part of the reason I didn't tell him right off the bat, is I knew he was going to be upset. But at the same time, I couldn't let him come in the middle of the night and find out all this stuff in the middle of the night. So now he's got some time to think about it, and I did get the situation more or less resolved. So I guess if any time it was a good time, this is that time. So, back to work. Okay, well, this is a problem. Only been off of the boat for less than an hour, and we are damn near sinking again. It's a problem. Somewhere we've got a leak. We gotta find this. All right, well, I immediately found what I believe to be the culprit here. All right, so I'm checking the bilge pump here. It does spin. Spins free. Not to say necessarily that it actually works. I won't know that until I get the electric hooked up. But we can definitely rule out that it is fouled up. Okay, so I got the parts out of the salt-away bath. I've got the starter there drying out. I was going to take it apart and dry it that way, but I decided not to mess with it. I got my trim solenoid right here. There's a little jumper piece that's supposed to go across there. It's pretty well dissolved. Not going to bother trying to reuse that. It's supposed to look like this. It's actually supposed to be a big chunk of metal. So I'm going to bypass that with an actual wire jumper. Hopefully that thing still works. If not, you know, it's not that expensive of a part to replace. The fuse block, I think, is pretty much taken care of, except one of the little springy, proggy clips that hold the fuse in place was destroyed, and then the other one is pretty much nearly destroyed. So both of those are gone now, although I'm not sure what that fuse does. My main goal right now is to get this engine started, so I'm going to try to cobble something together. Problem here now is on the back side. In there, it might be hard to see, but there's a couple of copper blades for this thing to plug, not that in, this thing to plug onto. This is really corroded in there. There's actually supposed to be two wires coming out of here, but the one is completely just burned off inside there, corroded away. So I need to pull that out. Luckily, as you can see, this other end here is a spare. So what I'm going to do is, even though this one is still corroded, it's not completely gone. I'm going to take this side out and switch it over to this side. Since this is a spare, it doesn't matter. Also, this is the plug that goes into this terminal. And I don't know if you can see in there or not, but only one of them actually has a blade at all to begin with. And it's not this one. So I'm going to reuse that. And this little guy right here goes onto a piece of wire. It burned off. It's on the engine block over there, but I'm going to use this little length of wire and solder it onto there, which then in turn goes into this, which plugs onto here. This is actually also a spare wire, a piece that did not get used, which is why it did not get burned off. And again, this only has one blade on it as well, so we're going to take our spare and stick it on here for function. The rest of these all look good. So I'm going to weld that up, solder that up rather, and keep rolling. Alright, so I've got this corrosion here that I've got to get rid of. And the Works toilet bowl cleaner does a great job of doing that. Put a little bit in here. You see it as it is. Voila. Nice and clean. Good as new. Now that's an acid, so it's going to destroy the, whatever protective finish may have been on this. So it's going to go bad. Well, I mean, it's going to get covered with stuff if I don't cover it with some sort of dielectric grease or something, which I will do. Alright, so I got the starter put back on. I've got the batteries charging up a little bit better. This is the main lead that goes back to the battery. So some of the stuff is still disconnected. Some of it's burned off. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get it connected tonight, and I've got to get this water out of the engine. That's sitting there. I'm just going to push this against the main terminal on the starter. I already got the Bendix popped up onto the flywheel, so this should just turn, and the water, since the spark plugs are still out, the water will just evacuate out the back. It's getting the water out of the starter too. It's going to warm up and get all that stuff out of there. Next is going to be spray the cylinders with some WD-40. Let that pump through. Get these wires back in here as best I can. And then, with any luck, I might be able to start the engine. Even if it is kind of rigged together. We'll see. So you can see, that's all that's left of a bolt. It was eaten away. I'm going to reuse that bolt. So I don't really have a good supply of metric stuff here. And again, I just want to get this thing running. I think this is a sealed unit. So that relay should be okay still.